The darkness came alive, with eyes that burned like dying stars. In the suffocating heat of prehistoric nights, our ancestors huddled around flickering flames, knowing that beyond the light waited death, with claws longer than spears and jaws that could crush bone like dry leaves. This was Earth before humans claimed dominion, a world where we were nothing more than trembling prey in a hunting ground ruled by nightmares made flesh. Imagine cowering in a cave while something massive prowls outside, its footsteps shaking the ground beneath your feet. Every shadow could hide your executioner. Every sound might herald your final moment. 2 million years ago, the African savanna stretched endlessly under a merciless sun. But this wasn't the relatively safe world we imagine from nature documentaries. This was a killing field where terror wore 1,000 faces. Saber-toothed cats with fangs like curved daggers stalked through golden grass, their amber eyes locked onto clusters of early hominids who had barely learned to walk upright. These weren't the familiar tigers of today. These were Machairodus and Meganterion, apex predators whose very existence was sculpted by evolution to end lives efficiently. The early humans, our distant ancestors, possessed no claws, no natural weapons, no protective armor. They were soft, vulnerable, and pitifully slow compared to the killing machines that shared their world. Their only advantages were opposable thumbs, basic tool-making abilities, and something far more powerful than any physical adaptation: the desperate cunning that comes from being hunted relentlessly. But even cunning has limits when facing creatures that defied comprehension. The fossil record reveals a truth that chills paleontologists to this day. Early human remains frequently show bite marks and gnaw patterns from predators. These aren't clean deaths, they're evidence of prolonged terror, of our ancestors being dragged screaming into the darkness. Cave sites across Africa contain scattered human bones mixed with the remains of massive carnivores, creating grisly museums of predation that lasted for millennia. Among the most terrifying hunters was Dinophelis, the false saber-tooth. This cat didn't need massive fangs because it had perfected something far more horrifying: the art of the ambush. Fossil evidence suggests Dinophelis specifically targeted early humans, dragging them to high places before consuming them. Paleontologists have found human skulls with distinctive puncture marks that match Dinophelis teeth patterns, concentrated around the brain case. These predators didn't just kill our ancestors, they seemed to prefer them. Yet the cats were only part of a symphony of death that played across ancient Africa. Giant hyenas, the size of lions, roamed in massive packs, their bone-crushing jaws capable of splintering femurs with casual ease. Crocodiles 20 feet long lurked in rivers and lakes, making every water source a potential death trap. Even the sky offered no refuge. Massive eagles with 8-foot wingspans swooped down to snatch children who wandered too far from their groups. The Taung child, one of our most famous ancestral fossils, bears the unmistakable marks of eagle talons in its skull. This 3-year-old Australopithecine didn't die from disease or accident. It was carried away by a bird of prey, its final moments spent dangling helplessly in the air before razor-sharp talons ended its brief existence. How did our species survive when everything in nature seemed designed to erase us from existence? The answer lies in a transformation so profound it would reshape the very fabric of life on Earth. As predation pressure intensified, early humans began developing something unprecedented in the animal kingdom: collaborative intelligence. They didn't just use tools, they began creating weapons specifically designed to kill creatures far larger and stronger than themselves. Sharpened sticks became spears, rocks became projectiles, fire became a weapon that could turn the tables on even the most fearsome predators. Archaeological sites reveal evidence of organized hunting parties targeting massive carnivores. Our ancestors weren't content to merely survive. They began to fight back with a ferocity that matched their predators' hunger. They learned to track, to ambush, to coordinate attacks that could bring down creatures 10 times their size. But nature had one final devastating surprise waiting for them. The climate began to shift with terrifying speed. Ice ages carved through Africa like cosmic scythes, transforming lush forests into barren wastelands. Food sources vanished overnight. The delicate ecosystem that supported both predators and prey collapsed into chaos. Those who survived this climatic apocalypse found themselves in a world where the rules of survival had fundamentally changed. In the deepest caves of our genetic memory, we still carry the echoes of those hunted nights. The fear that grips us in darkness, the primal terror of being watched, the instinctive need to seek high ground, these aren't learned behaviors. They're evolutionary scars carved into our DNA by millions of years of being prey. If creatures designed by nature's cruelest imagination once ruled our ancestors' world, what forgotten predators might still be waiting in the shadows of our planet's unexplored places, dreaming of the day when humans remember what it means to be hunted? The screams echoed through valleys that no longer exist, carried on winds that have been silent for 1,000,000 years. But the true horror wasn't in the dying. It was in the waiting. In the endless nights when our ancestors pressed themselves against cave walls, listening to the sounds of something enormous moving through the darkness just beyond their firelight. Because while they had learned to fight back against the predators they could see, evolution was preparing something far worse. What happens when the hunters themselves become the hunted? The Pleistocene epoch descended like a cosmic judgment upon the Earth, bringing with it ice sheets that stretched from pole to pole, and predators so massive they made earlier threats seem like house cats. The world our ancestors thought they understood vanished beneath glacial floods and volcanic ash, replaced by a frozen hellscape where survival meant facing creatures that belonged in nightmares rather than nature. Cave bears emerged from the depths of European caverns, standing 12 feet tall on their hind legs, with claws that could disembowel a human with a casual swipe. These weren't the relatively docile bears of today. Ursus spelaeus was a killing machine weighing over 1/2 a ton, with jaws powerful enough to crush skulls like eggshells. Archaeological evidence shows these monsters shared caves with early humans, creating a terrifying roommate situation where one wrong move meant becoming dinner for a creature that viewed humans as convenient snacks. But the bears were gentle compared to what prowled the frozen steppes of Ice Age Europe and Asia. The cave lion, Panthera spelaea, stalked through blizzards like a golden ghost of death. 30% larger than modern lions, with muscles built for bringing down woolly mammoths, these apex predators treated early human settlements like all-you-can-eat buffets. Cro-Magnon cave paintings don't just depict these beasts, they obsess over them, covering stone walls with images of lions so detailed and frequent that paleontologists believe entire tribes lived in constant terror of these creatures. The paintings tell stories that archaeology confirms. Humans weren't just prey, they were preferred prey. Cave lion fossil sites consistently contain human remains, often showing evidence that bodies were dragged miles from human settlements back to lion dens. These weren't random attacks, they were systematic predation campaigns that lasted for generations. Yet even as our ancestors faced extinction from land-based predators, the seas harbored monsters that made terrestrial threats seem insignificant. Megalodon still prowled the oceans during early human evolution, its 60-foot length cutting through prehistoric waters like a living tsunami of teeth and hunger. While most humans avoided deep water, coastal settlements weren't safe. This apex shark could beach itself in shallow water to snatch prey, its jaws wide enough to swallow a dozen people simultaneously. Fossilized bite marks on whale bones from this period show damage so extensive that paleontologists struggle to comprehend the raw power required to inflict such wounds. Early humans who ventured onto primitive boats faced a predator that could literally bite their vessels in half, dragging entire crews into abyssal depths where screams were swallowed by crushing darkness and infinite cold. How did fragile human bands survive when the very planet seemed determined to erase them from existence? The answer lies carved in the bones of the beasts themselves. As archaeological evidence reveals, our ancestors didn't just adapt to predation, they weaponized their own terror. Sites across Europe and Africa contain the remains of massive predators killed by primitive human weapons, spear points embedded in cave bear vertebrae, fire-sharpened stakes driven through cave lion skulls, collaborative hunting sites where dozens of humans worked together to bring down creatures that could have killed them all individually. But the most chilling discovery isn't evidence of human victory, it's evidence of what they had to become to win. Neanderthal skeletal remains show injury patterns consistent with close-quarters combat against massive predators, broken bones that healed at wrong angles, scarred skulls, missing limbs. These weren't isolated incidents, but systematic evidence of a species that survived by choosing to fight monsters rather than flee from them. They transformed themselves into something unprecedented in Earth's history, prey that hunted back. The psychological pressure was so intense that it fundamentally rewired human consciousness. Archaeological sites show evidence of increasingly sophisticated trap systems, coordinated pack hunting techniques, and weapons designed specifically for killing creatures larger than buildings. Our ancestors learned to think like predators while maintaining the desperate cunning of prey. Then came the discovery that changed everything scientists thought they knew about human survival during the Ice Age. Deep in Siberian permafrost, researchers uncovered evidence of human settlements built entirely from the bones of the creatures that had hunted them. Not just using bones as tools, constructing entire dwellings from the skeletons of cave lions, cave bears, and other massive predators. These weren't desperate survival measures, they were monuments to victory, temples built from the bones of fallen gods. But victory came with a price that still haunts our species today. The constant exposure to extreme predation pressure didn't just change human behavior, it altered human evolution itself. DNA analysis reveals that populations surviving in high predation environments developed enhanced night vision, improved hearing, faster reflexes, and most importantly, enlarged areas of the brain associated with fear processing and threat assessment. We didn't just survive the age of monsters, we became something new in the process. Something that remembered what it meant to be hunted even after becoming the ultimate hunters ourselves. The fossils whisper a final warning. Predators that ruled Earth for millions of years vanished in geological instants, replaced by newer, more efficient killers. If evolution could craft monsters beyond imagination to hunt our ancestors, what nightmares might it be preparing for us in the darkness that lies ahead? The shadows are patient. They always have been.